It's the old green and white stripes club today. You and me, Jaffe.
Yeah.
You can't tell that it's green, but it's green.
You all shop at the same Costco? What's going on with that?
Yeah, every week, Brandon and I take a national flight. We alternate coasts by week.
Yeah.
And we go shopping together, and we decide on matching out.
You go to the Richmond Costco one week, and then you go to the Harlem Costco the other. I've been to both of those. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Every week, I log on to this god-darned Discord to talk to you guys and wonder, is this the week Alex Jaffe will have stood his books up in the shelf? And it never is.
Ninja Gaiden 1, Ninja Gaiden 2, Ninja Gaiden 3, Cruising USA. This is episode 322 of the Insert Credit Show, a video game podcast with a horrible buzzer that I promise is still important to the format. I'm Alex Jaffe, and my favorite household chore is refilling my ice maker.
All right.
Wait, you said it was cold over there. Can't you just go outside?
I could, but then I don't get them in the shapes I need.
Brenda, I know we're in mild weather here, but you should know that it's not literally ice cubes.
No, it's cubes.
Also, to be clear, if there was a sheet of ice you could break into cubes out there, it would contain more forever chemicals than water molecules. So you don't want to eat that.
If it's not ice cubes, how do igloos get made? Riddle me that.
That's a good question.
Can't explain it, can you?
No, they only fall in cubes up there in northern Canada and Alaska, not down here.
I like when I'm at a restaurant that offers me a choice between crushed ice or cubes. I like saying, I want to have my Coke Zero Cuban style when I go with the non-crushed ice.
Hey, I'm Frank Cifaldi, and I've had all this time to think of a favorite household task.
Yeah, we've been vamping for you.
Should have a really good one. I'm Frank Cifaldi, and my favorite household task. I'm the food person of the house, so I don't know if this is a task necessarily, but cooking, keeping us fed, that's my favorite household thing.
That's cool.
That's a household thing. I mean,
yeah, it's good.
Right.
It's considered essential to many households, actually. So
okay, good. Yeah. Well, I'm the one who always has the mental database of what's in the fridge. I'm good at improvising. I'm the one who shops. I'm into that.
I'm Tim Rogers, and as my haters will tell you, I'm fabulously wealthy, so I have people do everything for me. I have a staff of 14. We don't use the word servants. We just call them helpers. Full-time salaried helpers, FTSH.
The downstairs.
I've talked at length here and elsewhere about just how very household chorulous my unventilated apartment here on the Upper West Side of New York, Manhattan is, where a layer of it, I used to love dusting. So let's just say in a vacuum, it's a good joke about vacuums. In a vacuum, my favorite household chore would have been dusting because it's so satisfying. But here, where the kitchen is basically everywhere because of the absolute lack of ventilation, a range hood that's just for decoration, etc. The dust dew clingeth to god darn everything it touches.
Man, that's rough. I'm familiar with that scenario.
It is grease dust all over my fancy electronics that I have to keep inside of this TV stand, and even there, they are not safe. You ever get god darn like kitchen grease dust off of like beautiful walnut wood? It's very difficult to do without damaging the wood or yourself or your psychiatry, as it were. So I don't really like any of my chores here. Refilling my aroma diffuser is fun, but I only have to use the aroma diffuser because it smells bad in here.
I'd count it.
Refilling my humidifier is fun, but it's not really fun. I only have to do it because we're at like 3% humidity in here. And it doesn't work. And then what happens is if I run the humidifier for more than a day, it gets filled with pink mold. So we are on filter number 4 on the Dyson in the bedroom in the past 12 months. They're supposed to last 2 years.
Yeah, that's no good.
So household chores have just become dreadful for me. But normally I bought a nice vacuum cleaner, so let's just leave it at that. It doesn't get most of the stuff off of the ground. You have to scrape the rest. Got to use an old credit card to clean my floor, like no joke, because the dust it adheres. So you asked me a real rough question.
That's why I'm here to ask the tough questions.
Why I use such a nice camera during these video calls, because the depth of field makes everything look nostalgic in the background. You don't know what it's like back there, Charles. Thank you.
All right. I'm Brandon Sheffield.
Yeah, that was your cue, Brandon.
Took me a while to figure out because at first I thought we were just talking about menial tasks we like. I got confused, and then but it turned out it was chores. Menial task wise, I like washing records. It's fun to just have just like a basic thing to do while you watch an okay movie.
Just don't leave your records out on an uncovered turntable turned off if you have no ventilation and the kitchen is your entire apartment.
That's right.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah, I got a cover on my record player anyway. But my favorite chore, I realize, is probably, I don't know if it's favorite, but it's most compulsive, is picking up leaves from where the dogs poop. I pick up the leaves, put them in a big bin, and then I chop those leaves up, and then I put them in the compost bin, and then they turn into dirt I can use for growing plants with.
And you enjoy this?
I do, because I feel like I'm accomplishing something, because I'm both cleaning up the dog's bathroom zone, which makes it easier for them to go there, because otherwise it's like, I don't know, when it's raining, it's pulling teeth to get the dogs to go there at all. And then on top of that, I'm making more delightful mulch that I can grow tomatoes with and stuff. So yeah, it's like the end game is what I enjoy. The benefits the multiple benefits that are being reaped by doing it is something that I enjoy. So there it is, picking up leaves.
So you're saying your household is outside?
Yeah, I live outside.
Oh man, living outside is the old dream, dude. I got dogs here. Notice I wouldn't mention anything pertaining to my dogs as a household chore because they're just my buddies.
Yeah. No, there's a yard situation is what we're talking about. There's a yard.
Oh yeah, I get it. I'm just joking about how my dogs are my buddies.
I was just saying it in case other people didn't get that it was a joke.
I've got a bottle of Windex sitting on top of the glass top of my TV stand. The shiny glass top of my TV stand. It's sitting there because I Windexed it the other day, and it's just completely non-reflective right now. It's just already blasted.
Sounds like you lose Dex.
Yeah,
lose Dex.
I think Tim's landlord might be Sisyphus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Wait, no, Sisyphus hates that.
Yeah, he's inflicting it on others. It's all about hurt people hurting.
You got to do what you can.
Yeah.
I guess.
Our first question comes from last week's episode winner and guest, Kim Justice. Kim Justice wrote in to ask, in games where water is lethal, at what part of the body should that water kill you? When you're all the way in? Up to the shoulders? Or as soon as your toe touches it?
That's a good one.
Eyeballs. Unless you're equipped with the swimming goggles power up, if the water level goes above your eyeball, if it touches the eyebrow, you should die.
I think that's right.
Where does that science come from?
I also think you should be able to jump once when your hips haven't gone below the water. I think you should be able to jump once out of the water. Just do one little crappy jump. You should be able to do that.
Do you think like any child who played an NES game before swimming in a swimming pool
was like, I'll die in there?
Really surprised to find out that they didn't just pass away instantly upon touching the water?
Oh, they played Mario first, so they're good. They were surprised that they couldn't light a fire underwater.
I was at the bottom of the pool looking for air bubbles. I was like, this is how I breathe down here. I hear the music.
Air burgers.
Yeah, you weren't trying to swim. You were just kind of walking along the bottom.
I was walking really
pool.
Slowly at the bottom. Yeah. Like, where's my air bubbles?
Do you ever call the air bubbles in the Sonic games air burgers? That's what I called them.
I've never done this.
No. You're going to go get me an air burger.
I called them air pockets is what I called them.
All right.
So if it's a game where you definitely die, there's no escaping from the water, then I prefer you don't waste my time. It should just be like as soon as my toe pixel touches the water.
Instant.
Like I've already respawned like the next frame.
Yeah.
At the last checkpoint.
Oh, Frank, I thought you would appreciate it if the character falls into the water, disappears. You don't see the character because the water is perfectly opaque.
Yeah.
And then you see their hand come up above the water with a 3, and then back down under, and then back up with a 2, and then back down under, and then back up with a 1.
I'm not saying I don't appreciate that.
And then their head wobbles up above the water, and their arms go, what could possibly go wrong? And then they fall back under the water, dead.
I appreciate the new Super Mario Brothers version where the skeleton hand comes out of the lava. Yeah. That should just happen with water for some reason.
No matter what the substance is.
Well, I could see that happening in like a Death Stranding style future, with the time fall or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
How did I forget basic Death Stranding jargon already? I don't know. Should that be possible? The forever chemicals in the water, they'll strip you to the bone more or less instantaneously.
The microplastic.
Yeah. God, that microplastics.
I think the real answer though is like as soon as it's clear that you're gonna fall all the way in. So it's if you're I guess once your foot is in there, then the rest of the animation should happen very quickly.
You know how in Castlevania, how you fall off of a ledge more than like 3 tiles in height, like twice as fast as from a slightly lower ledge?
Yeah.
It should be that the second your foot pixel touches the water, there's like
you just zoop in.
Well, no, there would be a 24-second or 24-frame freeze frame, and then your body just gets like sucked straight in, just violently.
Is there time for you to hold up like a Wile E. Coyote style whoops sign or something?
I mean, there could be. It depends on how Bubsified your character is.
Yeah.
Wait, I got a little anecdote about being sucked down instantly. So,
baby.
Yeah, hang on to your seats, folks.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So, Tim, I think at least you have played the first Mega Man.
Oh, I played them all, yeah.
I'll play it.
Yeah, so
Even I.
Okay, you played it too. I didn't know. So Gutsman, that stage,
Yes.
the Gutsman stage in the first game has those platforms that go left and right, and like they kind of drop,
and you fall so fast.
So while working on Legacy Collection, we figured out why that happens. It's because when he is on that platform, he's in a falling state, but he's just held up by a platform. And so his velocity is just increasing infinitely.
Oh, that's incredible.
So like he is at like complete gravity. And by the time it drops, it like literally there's no frame. He's just gone.
Yeah.
Because he's just like he falls that fast.
Yeah, that rules. I mean, any people listening to this show with an interest in developing video games or designing video games, you immediately will encounter, if you open your mind enough to learn how to program a 2D guy jumping on a platform, and then you realize that the guy standing on the platform, it's like different programmers across different generations, across different genres will have there are fundamental understandings behind what does it mean to be standing on a platform. What does it mean for an elevator to move? How do you keep the guy on the elevator? There are just all these little fundamental quirks and riddles and mysteries, and it's just it's very fun to encounter that stuff. So when you say that, Frank, I think I've made a guy stand on an elevator before and had something similar happen in a game, and it's always fun.
A rite of passage, I think.
Yeah, a big time rite of passage, but the biggest rite of passage is
the Bible.
Yeah.
Elevator action returns.
I was gonna make a joke about never mind. Who cares?
Do we have any time left in this episode? No.
Yeah.
I mean, in this question, we don't. Okay.
No.
That's fine.
Is there a better way to implement communication in video games than scrolling through options from a dialogue tree?
Well, I mean, there is that AI Portopia murder case that Square Enix put out.
Is that better, though?
No, I didn't.
No. Look, I'm still warming up my AI jokes. It's still new.
Yeah.
Portopia isn't even really about picking dialogue from. I mean, it is, but it's like you have to like look at literally everything.
Right. It's whatever that Japanese adventure game genre is called. Which, by the way, is a good question for someday. Like, what is the Snatcher genre?
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, in Japan it's called adventure, but
it's just adventure.
But so are other things that are not Snatcher like.
Mm-hmm.
But they usually get a modifier, like a
really?
heartful adventure or whatever.
So default adventure is Princess Tomato or whatever.
I think so.
Okay.
What Snatcher did was add the ability to kind of hang out, whereas you can't really hang out in Portopia. You do not feel like you're hanging out at all in that game. You feel like you have to solve the mystery as quickly as possible, and the way to do that is to just stab everything with your clue eyeballs.
So Mass Effect has the 3 things, like you got your middle, your left, and your right.
That's right.
And that's an okay way to do it.
Renegade, Paragon, and Don't Care.
Yes.
Yeah.
Renegade, Paragon, and Centrist.
And tell me more.
A choice wheel is not bad. It's okay to do.
I think
I'm not
it's just
against
a different stylized dialogue tree, though.
Yeah, and I don't like those. I don't like the ones where you don't see exactly what you're going to say, because sometimes it's like, no, I didn't mean that.
Right.
Yeah, Mass Effect was notorious for that in my brain.
Me too.
Because I would be choosing something and it would be like, how do you like this? And then I'd choose, I like it fine. And then the character would immediately be like,
I am not doing this quest ever.
Yeah, it's like, I like it fine, except I hate it. The end. Goodbye.
Yeah, there's a certain charming PC gaminess to that, I guess. That is something that was missing from console games, and at the time that the first Mass Effect came out, and now console games are filthy with it. So
yeah,
it's all over all of them now. My problem with the Mass Effect games was when I chose to let my character say something, my character said something I personally would just never say in my entire life. I don't talk about space to anybody, number one. Number two, if I did, I would punch it up a bit instead of just leaving the first draft in there the way they did.
You're never playing as yourself. You're playing as one of 3 different versions of this guy.
Yeah.
Honda Shepard is who I that's the name of, I named her Honda.
Nice.
Honda Shepard. And I'm like, it's the perfect name. Honda Shepard.
Yeah. The 2007 Honda Shepard.
Yeah, I know, dude. That's if you really want to have a good time. So is there a better way than dialogue trees? Well, yes. Name your main character Honda, and then it's already better. It doesn't matter how you communicate in the game.
Yeah, I don't know how you really get away from a tree.
I mean, okay, so what are some alternatives? What, like, if let's say you're an executive, you got to pitch an alternative. Like, you got to shoot your words at a specific body part. Like you're aiming a crosshair.
Like that Yakuza 0 mini game.
And the L trigger is nice words, and the R trigger is like angry words, like soothing a horse in Breath of the Wild.
And you're like flirting with a woman at a phone club.
There's Mad Libs rhythm games that I've seen people attempt where you've got a sentence and you got to put certain types of words in there. And you've got different buttons for different flavors of word, which I don't love it, but it's a way that you could do it.
Cyberpunk 2077 has some like expiring conversation choices that you have to make quickly because the dialogue is happening during like a very cinematic encounter where like you're talking to someone and then like a cop is coming up with a gun in the background or whatever. That's not actually a situation, but something's happening in the background and there's dialogue choices you have to make. But those kind of just feel like a mean-spirited, like the developer wants to make sure the player is paying attention sort of thing. I don't know if that's always mean.
Sometimes it's kind of clever. Like, the very beginning of the first episode of The Walking Dead has a dialogue option that you cannot access before your car crashes.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's very good.
Which I really like.
There's virtuosic fun stuff in like the first 20 minutes of that.
I still think it's worth playing like the first episode of that, and then you're done. It's like you've seen the magic trick. But what I was going to say is, and that might have been in that game. I think of it more from like Oxenfree or Firewatch, but I like that sometimes you can just not pick dialogue. Like you can just let it expire.
Yeah.
And then the game understands that, and that is a valid path.
Yeah, I did a Telltale Batman playthrough where I never responded to any dialogue option. That was really nice.
That's true Batman style. I mean, I think ultimately, like one of the things that, for example, The Last of Us does not get praised enough for is the amount of dialogue that happens during like exploration parts of the game, where it's like you can go to the goal, which is very clearly visible, or you can go off to the side, like into this ruined house to see if there's any ingredients or whatever. And then when you're picking up some ingredients in the kitchen, your companions might see something and then start talking about it, and then your main character starts telling a story about 20 years ago before the end of the world, and like that, and then you end up getting like little achievements or experience points for that stuff, and it's only if you encounter a specific object in a specific optional area. You know, the stuff that makes it actually an interesting video game.
Yeah, explorational, contextual, context-based conversation can be pretty interesting.
The Last of Us is great at it.
There's more potential for exploring that with player intention.
Yeah, than just picking stuff from a dialogue tree and having it open or close quest options. Yeah.
All right, I've got a question. What are the 5 most fun types of crimes to commit in video games?
The 5 most fun types of crimes.
First of all, any crime where you can crash a car through a window, like a storefront in a city. That's a good one.
I'm also good with human crashing through window. Like I don't know if it's all the Arkham games, but definitely Arkham City. You can just like double tap the jump button and he will just like crash through a window for no reason. And I really like that.
That's essential Batman.
Yeah.
I would say smashing everything in a store.
Okay.
So like intimidate the store owner.
So number 1 on our list is vandalism.
Yeah, busting stuff.
I'm good with that. This is going to sound dark, but I mean, if we're going by real world human laws, I'm going to go assault. But
I assumed going into this that murder would be number 1.
I'm not saying murder, but it could be murder. But like, I just want to jump on people's heads and bounce off, and they're like, "Ow, stop that!" Like that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Beating them up, for example.
Yeah,
is in the beat 'em ups is a way. That's good.
You're right. Knocking him out could be just as satisfying as murder. So yeah, I'm good with assault on the list.
I think any crime that involves driving a car really fast, ramping up off some boards that are mysteriously propped against a pyramid of barrels, and crashing the car through a second or higher floor window in order to assassinate a specific government official. I think that's the best crime to commit in a video game.
Is that treason or murder?
No, I would file that as reckless driving.
That's vehicular manslaughter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vehicular trurder, it's called. Vehicular treason murder.
For now, let's take just straight up murder off of the list,
right?
Because it's vehicular manslaughter, specifically.
Exactly
that we want, because it's the superior manslaughter.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
What's the closest you ever felt to actually committing a crime as a character in a video game? For me, it's freshly. Almost every time I play a Hitman level for the first time, it really does feel like committing a crime. They really, really nail that.
When I steal something in a game with a stealing mechanic, in a situation that was particularly difficult or required a lot of save scumming.
Yeah,
that feels like I actually did.
That's what I thought about as well. Yeah.
I feel like the closest I feel like to committing a crime, I feel the guilt is the thing that I feel about things. So it's like when you're just compulsively going through and checking out all the stuff in someone's house in a JRPG, and then you steal one coin from a chest, and then a child is like, I sure hope I can use my one coin tomorrow to buy some ice cream. That's when and you find that afterward and you can't give it back.
Brandon's a mark for narrative designer.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah,
Mr. Never Cried at a video game.
It's a classic one that has been in probably about 6 video games in it, and I'm still like, God darn it.
JRPGs have been leaning into that trope since like Dragon Quest 1.
Yeah, just let me steal stuff. Come on.
Yeah, like letting you do it and then gently making fun of you.
Yeah.
Because the designers can't think of where else to put that stuff. But the reason why I say Hitman is the more of those Hitman games and levels that they make. If you're playing Hitman 3, the levels are meticulous as heck. They are verisimilitudinous as heck. There's so much stuff. Like the first level of Hitman 3 from the current Hitman series is a huge fancy party in the Burj, Dubai. And there's hundreds of guests, many of whom have names and characters and personalities. And you really feel like an intruder as the lengthy intro sequence to the first mission is you're like sneaking up the side of the building and then like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, and then sneaking in through some air vents and stuff, and then showing up in a suit. You really, really feel like you're not supposed to be there. And then everything you do when you're there, you really feel like you're not supposed to be there. And you're supposed to kill a person. They just have layered so much context on it that in addition to just being beautifully good video games and excellently good narrative design and hilariously good open-ended action, puzzle, adventure, drama, you really feel like a criminal in those games.
Could we agree that hacking is the least fun crime?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to put hacking on here, but
yeah.
Cyber crimes.
Yeah,
Cyber crimes the least fun.
So I just Googled top 10 crimes.
yeah.
What do we got?
And
Okay,
Google kind
Letterman.
of auto-populates the thing on the top, and it gives me more than 10. So, there's assault, robbery, theft, domestic violence, blah, blah, blah. And number 9, 10, number 14 is Harvey Weinstein.
Nice.
Just on his own.
Games, try as they might, even the combined talents of Rockstar and Uwe Boll could probably not manage to top that in a video game.
That's true. So what do we have? We have assault.
Indigo Prophecy came close.
Yeah. I was getting around to David Cage, but yeah,
Vehicular manslaughter.
Assault, vehicular manslaughter.
Yeah.
Vandalism.
Treason, right?
Treason. And what's number 5?
Treason,
Number
murder.
5 is fraud.
I want to say cheating at casino games.
Yeah, like that's fraud, right?
Yeah, save scumming.
I think the number one crime, hands down, is David Cage making him.
Mm.
Is David Cage the Harvey
Boom.
Weinstein of video games? He should be.
I can't disagree.
He needs to be sharing a cell with
Yeah.
Naka, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. So
Naka would eat that guy alive.
Hideki Kamiya recently said that he had plans for 9 games in the Bayonetta franchise that the world will never get to see.
That's too many.
What would
Yeah.
Bayonetta 9 even be like?
Bayonetta.
It would be a game that like a bunch of Twitter accounts with like 1,200, ranging between 1,200 to 6,000 followers, screamed every day is their game of the year. And why aren't more people playing this? It would be on PC.
It would be exactly like Bayonetta 3, except it would be 9 and there would be a different story.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would probably get to Kingdom Hearts levels of
Yes.
navel-gazy lore by that point.
By Bayonetta 3, she could charge her weapon, so it stands to reason that by Bayonetta 4, she'd be able to slide.
You're going by Mega Man rules?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Mega Man
So
9.
so then by 9 she's like pixel art.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but no, by 9 it looks like 1. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're at that era of nostalgia at that point.
Yeah, Xbox 360 nostalgia.
So I mean, we
Yeah.
had 3 Bayonetta games, and how many years did it take for 3 Bayonetta games? It took
Too many.
It took a little bit too many. Not as
Yeah.
It took more than it took for 2. So the games per year thing is the average is thrown off a little bit.
Yeah, Bayonetta came out in 2009. Bayonetta 3 came out in 2022. So
Yeah, so that's 3 games in 12 years. A game
Yeah.
every 4 years. So you're
Mhm.
looking at for 6 more games, you're looking at 24 more years.
Unless you count that prequel thing that they put out.
You know what? You kind of can, I think.
Yeah.
But let's say mainline series games.
yeah.
Bayonetta 9. They've made 3 games about Bayonetta. They can't just say that they want to make it a different protagonists and settings every time, like Final Fantasy.
Right.
So, are you all familiar with Shozo Kaga, the creator of a Fire Emblem, who later made a game who broke off from Nintendo and made a game called Tear Ring Saga?
Yeah, generally.
And then years later made a game called Berwick Saga, the greatest strategy game of all time, some say. It's not. It's really good, though. Berwick Saga, and then it currently has a game on Steam called Vesteria Saga, which is the 3rd game in his Tear Ring Saga series.
In his saga.
Yeah, so he's had, I don't know if we can say he's made
Saga,
9
yeah.
games total that are on the same general theme over the course of coming up on 40 years, Lord. But that's about what it would look like. If you look up Vesteria Saga on Steam and compare that to whatever you understand a tactical strategy RPG should look like in the year 2023, where we're going back to last year. I know it's 2024. That's probably what Bayonetta 9 would look like in the year 2046, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
That's my sign. It's a little bit too clinical an answer. I just am not in a mood to have fun thinking about Bayonetta. It's all business for me when it comes to Bayonetta.
I feel like if I was going to make a Bayonetta game, there's this bit of lore in the first game where they kind of casually mention if Bayonetta doesn't kill an angel every day, she's immediately sent to hell. So I think it would be a more interesting game if like you had to kind of get up in the morning and find an angel every day to kill. Rather than just have them flock around you no matter where you go.
Bayonetta 9 would be like it would be like a PS2 style, Xbox 360 style open world game.
Oh yeah, open world Bayonetta is probably where it's headed.
I think by the time we get to Bayonetta 9, no one will be able to find out that it's out or available because Kamiya will have blocked everyone by then, everyone in the universe on all platforms.
Very good.
You know what? Can I actually just say, I just posted a pic of Vesteria Saga in the chat if you want to see what this came from 2019.
Yeah, seen
what
it.
The Fire Emblem creators 2019 video game looks like this. It's good. First of all, not hating on it. But this is what the creator of a series that Nintendo is now making. Interestingly, too many games in this series, I would say. They're going wild with Fire Emblem. This is what he's making now by himself with his small group of hardened developers. They're just making it for real purists, and good on them. But that's what I foresee. This sort of fate would have befallen Kamiya had he been birthed of a slightly sooner era of video games than he was. If he had come up during the Famicom era, he would be this level of not outcast, but like
obtuse,
slight outsider at this point. I see that in Kamiya. And also, it's been long enough now. I'm going to go ahead and publicly say, I've refrained from saying anything about this, but I'm going to say it. I think Kamiya's Twitter presence has always been a bit tacky. So Thank you. I'm breaking my silence. And I'm saying, I think he's been pretty tacky on Twitter. The whole, I'm blocking you, ask your mom. It's like, all right, you learned English. At this point, Hideki Kamiya versus Hideki Naganuma for tackiest Twitter presence. Battle of the Hidekis.
Yeah.
I think Naganuma still takes it.
Yeah.
He does.
I think he's worse.
Yeah,
I mean,
worse,
you know
what? Now that you think about it, he's worse.
Something to noodle on as we take a break. We'll be right back on the Insert Credit Show.
The show. So, Frank, I'm curious where your thoughts lie as far as so I purchased this game. It's a PC Engine game, Super Real Mahjong P3 Custom Special.
Okay.
Now, this game is this thing that I purchased is a bootleg. It is a very nicely made bootleg that has
that you knowingly purchased.
I knowingly purchased official looking disc, though it has the logo of the bootlegger on it, and a nice full color manual and OB and everything. So it's basically, except for the bootlegger putting their branding on it, which I appreciate that they do, so you know it's a bootleg. It is the same as the original game as it was released, but this game was only released, I think there are like 15 known copies of it.
Okay.
It was released as a special prize in a mailing list from Naxat, the publisher of the game.
Got it.
So bootleg is really the only way that you could experience it as it was, because you can't buy one of those 15 copies. It's just not possible. So is this preservation of a sort?
Oh, you're asking if this is the shipment of Theseus.
Exactly. Because I was debating this myself. I was like, it almost feels like it is, because you couldn't play this. You couldn't stick a disc of this that had the art on it and look at the manual any other way other than buying this bootleg.
Yeah.
But
Jeffy, is this a question now? Should we just call it?
Yeah, let's just call it a question. Welcome back to the Insert Credit Show. Brandon's got a question for us this week.
Yeah, I guess I already asked it. So here we are.
I think preservation takes a lot of forms, and I think one of them is cultural relevance. I think is a form of preservation, if you take that term as liberally as I do. It is at least the same form of preservation as like a re-release of a game on a modern console. Like I consider that along the same lines.
Yeah. Though this one is unsanctioned and the original publisher gets no money.
But it doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? Like, just because some guy in a suit got paid when Limited Run Games licensed the Bill and Ted video game for the NES doesn't, like that doesn't, that's not more legit to me than that. So I don't know. I think there is a sort of like form of cultural preservation happening there in the same way that a recreation in a museum of something in the past is a preservation of intent or culture or whatever.
Yeah.
To my mind, sure, that is a form of preservation. But preservation means a lot of things. That is not like the form of video game preservation that I consider to be like important.
Best. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I was thinking about it in a couple of different ways because part of the experience of this game is its scarcity, which is diminished by having more copies of it and having there be bootlegs. But there aren't that many, and I don't think that scarcity is a very valuable thing to preserve.
Well, I think if you are preserving original intent, the intent is that you don't have this game.
Right. Yeah.
You are not intended to have this game. This is not a game made for you to have.
Yeah. It's really weird. So I got into this because it's a PC Engine game, and I was thinking, what if I had all of the PC Engine games that use the arcade card, which, as people probably know, is a RAM expansion for the PC Engine that allowed more frames of animation, etc. And I was looking at them, and I was like, well, there's this one game I never heard of on here, and that was this one. And there's literally no way to play it on an actual console other than this, or by loading a ROM, which feels like functionally similar. I don't know, not functionally.
It's the same as burning your own copy.
Yeah. Except now you get to see the manual and the telephone card that you could have gotten with it. So like it works in concert with other sorts of types of preservation, such as the scanning of manuals.
It is the same. It is the same form of preservation as like a physical reprint of Action Comics #1 or something. Like there is a sort of like preserving the tangible intent of the original object.
Yeah.
Which I often find interesting. Like I mean, actually, I sometimes desire that with comics specifically. Now that I'm thinking about it, like sometimes the feel of paper changes a comic to me. So that is a form of preservation again. But like I don't know that that's like the way I use that word typically. But you are preserving something,
and you can also get a little more of the context of the game this way, because this, considering they only made 15 copies, what's in the manual and on the back is designed for like super hyper fans, like very specific people. The main thing about this game, you won't be able to see it, but this particular strip mahjong game, there's no censorship on it. They uncensored it. So it's like it's for a certain kind of hyper dweeb. Is who this was for.
Take that, SJWs.
That's right. It's anyway. So the answer is kind of, and that's what I thought. So very good.
From the Godfather of Preservation.
I'm glad we sorted that out.
You have been blessed,
Captain Preserve.
Yeah, the video game Pope has once again ruled that you can pirate your games. Let's take a trip spelunking into Carl's Bad Cavern. Every week I take a question that's submitted to us at patreon.com/insertcredit, where patrons can use the form therein to submit their own questions, get monthly bonus episodes, and other sweet surprises. This week's question comes from Gaagaagiins, who asks, what are some of the best or most interesting games you can get a physical copy of on eBay or equivalent for about $10 USD, excluding shipping, without much trouble?
That's going to change after we release the episode, but
that's a lot of them, Charles, I believe.
Okay, $10 or less before shipping.
Before shipping.
I'm going to call back to pretty recent episode, Flipnik is a very cheap game.
Yeah, one of our best games of all time this year.
That What's It Crisis that you were talking about.
City Crisis. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Did you get yourself a City Crisis?
I did, and I paid $9.99 for it before shipping.
Have yourself a
You know what? I'm
City
going to go
Crisis.
ahead and say, Frank, I didn't get to say this about City Crisis when you brought it up before, but I love City Crisis, but I also love Crisis City, which is another
Crisis
video
City.
game. Brandon, have you played Crisis City?
Have I?
It's pretty. I think there are two unique flavors of games. It's actually not very good at all, but it completely rules. So check it out. sometime.
Crisis City. Oh, right. It's a PlayStation 1 game.
Yeah, it's a PlayStation 1 game of a sort. Yeah.
Yeah, if you give us the exact wording again.
All right. What are some of the best, parentheses, or most interesting games you can get a physical copy of on eBay, parentheses, or equivalent, for about $10 USD, parentheses, excluding shipping, without much trouble?
Man, I'd play this Crisis City. It looks ridiculous.
Like, I think most of the greatest hits of the Xbox 360 are probably
Oh,
about
yeah.
$10, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can probably get way better versions of them on the computer or something at this point. But technically, you can play, I don't know, probably every Gears of War is about $10 would be my guess. All them Halos, probably about $10. I don't know. Maybe I'm way off here.
Well, I'm looking up. I looked up Lost Odyssey, and it seems that the cheapest you can get is a Lucy for $14.99, which is just the sleeves.
Yeah, but RPGs and packaging, right? Like there's an upcharge always for that.
Yeah.
At least here.
You can get Lost Planet 2 for $4.
You can get a loose cartridge of the Final Fantasy IV for Super Famicom for $9.99.
Yeah, I'm seeing a whole list of Xbox 360 games on eBay for $4 each.
Yeah.
They definitely made a lot of games.
But they're not asking under 10. They're asking about 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Gears of War 5 for the Xbox One is $11.97. Is that just
About
the
10.
Game Pass effect or what? 45 games for Xbox 360 for $51. There's bids going though. LA Noire, BioShock Infinite, BioShock 2, Fallout 3. We love all these games. Beatles Rock Band, Rage Anarchy Edition, NASCAR 08, Grand Theft Auto 5. It's not bad.
Yeah, this is one of those tough ones to answer off the top of your head because one would have been required to be browsing this stuff with an intensity. But there's a lot of cool stuff you can get for under $10 still in a physical capacity.
Just piggy bank your pennies and get yourself a Mr. Charles is what I would say. Like,
you could buy yourself a Sonic 2 cartridge for $9.
and 64 games run on the Mister now.
You heard it. Gaagaagiins is a Charles. We've landed on that this week.
CarlOrCharles.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like most of our favorite games are probably, in the 70s and $10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love it.
That's about where we are. All right, next question. What is usually the worst kind of vehicle to control in a video game?
Car. No, that's not true.
Heavy car.
Yeah, sometimes it's plane. If it's Earth Defense Force, it's everything. They do not know how to make a vehicle function. If you've never played an Earth Defense Force game and then you get into like a tank, suddenly controls pop up that are like, please remap your brain so that you can move this tank around. And instead of like the tank moves like a human moves in the game, it's like, no, you got to now use the L2 and R2 to move the treads individually, and that was whatever. I don't know. It's goofy as heck. But yeah, EDF all of them.
I'd like to say boats are pretty bad, but I think every time there has been a submarine in a video game, it's been really tedious.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
true.
I happen to know a thing or two about submarines, and I can tell you, no one who has ever worked on a submarine has had like a good experience down there.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound fun.
It is.
Doesn't sound fun.
There is no fun. You are in a tube with no windows,
Highly pressurized.
insane fear of death. Usually nuclear powered.
You are warned by pop culture depictions
yeah.
of submarine. There's no fun submarine movie.
Right.
Yeah, Hunt
Yeah.
for Red October is the closest they get, and that's only fun because of the beautiful, beautiful camera work of John McTiernan.
J McT.
Beautiful camera work.
I think that jet skis have a really wide range of fun and not fun.
Yeah.
Because
Wave race, though.
Wave Race is really fun. And then Jet Moto, if you try to go back and play Jet Moto, that is
Jet Moto blows.
Is not good. You're just bonking into stuff.
It kind of just feels like bad F-Zero is what Jet Moto feels like. And that's like the water doesn't feel essential at all.
To your earlier point, there are a lot of bad plane games, but there are a lot of games where planes are a good time. Mm-hmm. I think there's a wide range to be had there.
I think quite often planes in games that aren't specifically this is a plane game tend to be pretty poor.
Well, also, I think planes and this is I'm now, the statute of limitations is up. I'm breaking the silence. I think none of the planes in any of the Pilot Wings games are any fun. They don't feel like planes, and they also don't feel like fun video game vehicles.
Yeah,
they just kind of feel like trash. But boats, Cobra Triangle's got beautiful boats. Submarines, Hunt for Red October, and In the Hunt have those are pretty fun. But they're not vehicle controls.
Hydro Thunder, pretty fun.
Hydro Thunder's all right.
I'll be honest, when I think about fun planes in games, I'm thinking about Crimson Skies usually.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So they're out there, but you're asking just on balance, what's the worst vehicle?
That's exactly what I'm asking.
I mean, if we're shooting this question with a shotgun, the answer is definitely cars.
Yeah, that's going to be on average because there have been so many bad ones.
Yeah,
there have been so many bad cars in video games that it's a real shame. In terms of vehicles that should be the best, but are never quite essentialized or represented as sparklingly well as they should be, the rare game Blast Corps kind of is headlined by bulldozers, backhoes, and vehicles like that.
Yeah.
But they don't really feel essentially as... You feel like they should be way more fun to control a bulldozer. In fact, it feels like a bulldozer should be like one of the more extremely fun video gamey vehicles to pilot. And the fact that we just don't have enough of them. Forklift and Shenmue.
A lot of those heavy machinery games, the ones that are about heavy machinery, are either for children and thus made in about 30 seconds, or
they're
are
for freaks.
Hyper sims for freaks. And then that's like such granular control that it's only fun for a certain type of German.
Yeah.
I still think that's better than Submarine, though.
Well, yeah, more interesting than Submarine.
I mean, what are some bad Submarine video game moments, though? Final Fantasy VII? That wasn't that bad. It was okay.
Sub Rebellion is okay.
Yeah. Steel Diver? How's Steel Diver?
Not bad.
Nobody likes Steel Diver.
No.
Nobody likes Steel Diver?
I've never played real Steel Diver. I only played the weird tech demo for the original DS when they unveiled it at E3.
Yeah.
That became a game for the 3DS years later.
I never played Steel Diver because I got my 3DS a few months after the 3DS came out.
You knew better by then.
I was like, I don't need this. So wait, okay, so Steel Diver's by Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. They also
by R&D 12, I think.
R&D 12. They had to go 12 rungs down the ladder to get anybody willing to bite on this elevator pitch.
Well, I mean, where else are you going to go but down to make a submarine game?
Exactly.
Right.
So Nintendo made a launch title about submarines where the submarines are not fun submarines. And they also made 2 launch games about airplanes and flying vehicles that are, again, we've broken the silence, not really super good vehicles. The Pilot Wings, I'm saying. I like Pilot Wings, but
Nintendo's not very vehicle forward, I would say. You got your F-Zero and your Star Fox, and then otherwise, I don't know.
Well, Mario Odyssey is a game about being different vehicles, and that they're all pretty good.
So it's for Super Mario Odyssey is a game for the Alex Jaffes of the world who wanted to be a train when they grew up. Mario gets to just be whatever he wants, dude. He gets to just turn into all sorts of vehicles, and it's sick.
Oh man!
He turns into a car at one point, and he screams when it happens.
Oh Lord! Let's wrap this episode up with a trip back to Violence Island. What do you say?
All right.
So the rules of Violence Island for the uninitiated.
Vile Isle, as we call it.
Yeah, we call it Vile Isle over here. Vile Lyle is our mascot.
Do you like how I've changed it from Vio-Io or Vi to it's now Vile Isle?
I do like that.
I think Lyle is a crocodile. That's what I think is going on.
That's what I'm picking.
Yeah, the Violence Island mascot is a crocodile.
Yeah.
Named Vile Lyle. Yeah.
So you can make your submissions to Vile Lyle on forums.insertcredit.com. There's a thread dedicated to Violence Island submissions where people ask who would win in a fight between various video game icons and personalities, and we determine that, and then nonsensically make the winners of those matches fight against each other until one winner remains. Here are the 4 matches I have selected for this edition. Our first is Normie from Normie's Beach Babe-O-Rama versus Green Dog the Beached Surfer Dude.
I knew it was going to be Green Dog. I was like,
it's a really easy go-to, just you know what, just given, Lester the Unlikely and Green Dog are just kind of the two, they're just kind of the two kick me sign guys of the video game industry. Whenever a bunch of dudes who, let's face it, have more in common than different with those characters. Like they're basically we whenever we sit around and talk about video game characters that suck, it's always Green Dog.
Yeah.
And it's always Lester the Unlikely, right?
Yeah, I believe right now our only 2 canonically dead video game characters on Violence Island are the Untitled Goose and Lester the Unlikely.
Yeah, canonically dead. Lester the Unlikely, but it was actually quite likely that he would die, it turns out.
It was unlikely for him to live.
I want to share, I haven't resorted to Googling yet, but I'm my mental imaging of trying to conjure Green Dog and Normie, both of them are Fido Dido in my head.
Yeah, that's basically true. Okay. I think Normie is more of like, he's got like a spiky, in my mind, I also haven't looked this up. I feel like he's got a one of those scraggle beards that's just like 5 hairs coming out.
But they're both very like pencil liney, right? I think. Maybe Beach Dog isn't. Beach Dog's like...
Yeah, I think Green Dog is at least athletic.
When I picture this is the mental exercise now. How do I... When I picture Green Dog, he has a tiny head that's like when you take the head off of a Barbie and there's just a little ball stump on top. Like that's what Green Dog is in my head. So let's have a look, folks. Let's see
Green
how close...
Dog's a Fido Dido, but Normie is more of like
he's a guy, dude.
just like a fuzzy guy. It's like if Garfield was a man.
Here's a picture of Normie and his creator, Keith Robinson. Yeah. That's
okay. He's not a Fido Dido.
Yeah, he's less Fido Dido-esque. He's a beach bum. He's one of those guys who hangs around on the beach, flirting with all the beach girls, and all the beach girls who show up around spring break time are aware of this guy, right?
And they need to avoid him.
I've honestly never met this type of guy. Yeah, they avoid the guy.
Like the Noid.
But those who decide to engage him in conversation often experience something worthy of encapsulation in a Hollywood motion picture, right? That's but at large they avoid the man. Okay. Whereas Green Dog they would kill probably. It would probably be a story of I mean, you wouldn't even need more than one girl, probably, to kill Green Dog, right?
I'm going to argue for Green Dog, though. I think...
Wait, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, are you the one calling the shots here?
No.
Like, what?
I think...
You're making the decision. Do you need my help on anything?
I'm watching these guys in their video games. And Normie is faster.
Yeah.
He moves fast, but Green Dog more often has projectiles. Normie doesn't seem to get a projectile until toward the end of the game.
I'm just going to say Green Dog's supposed to be a surfer, right?
Yeah.
Look at that posture. Come on.
I know.
Like, no. He can't stand on a board.
I do think that this speed at which Normie is moving is probably going to be his main advantage.
My recollection of moving at that speed got me into trouble a lot, though, in that game. I would just run off of things. Green Dog, again, I'm going off memory. I'm also not watching videos. I don't know why this is my thing today. Green Dog, my recollection is that it's a slow, precise kind of game where like every movement kind of counts. Does that sound
I don't know
right?
if it's precise. I think it's just of that very Genesis-y era where it was like, we put some platforms, please jump on them.
Okay.
I don't think there was a huge amount of thoughtful intention to
There's also
it.
like, please jump on them. Whoa, not like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the Genesis third-party platform.
I think it's probably Normie. I think Normie probably gets it.
Okay.
Even though he's
Because
smaller, but he's faster. He's
Okay.
faster, and they both do eventually get projectiles, and so I think we can assume that this battle takes place after their games, so they both have projectiles.
Yeah, they're end game states.
And plus, again, Green Dog doesn't have a real head. He has the Barbie stump.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the stump.
Weird. Well, he has like no eyes.
And he's
I
a
think.
Phytodido.
No face.
You can't see nothing.
Yeah, because you're supposed to slot the head onto there.
He's got basically no face. So I think the actual question would be which one of them would have an angry video game nerd video made about them, because that's the one who would lose.
Oh,
I just won. I think they
Well,
both would.
I feel like Normie
I
would
know.
have it
Normie would
first,
have it.
because there's more to say.
I've never seen an angry video game nerd video.
I haven't either.
Stop asking me, everybody.
I learned that apparently they are.
He's got a Green Dog video.
More interesting,
all right.
and than I thought. Apparently, that's what I've been told. So.
Oh, he does not have a Normie's Beach Baby-Rama video.
Okay,
Oh.
so Green Dog is
so Green
the
Dog.
AVGN.
Yeah, Green Dog loses then.
Green Dog loses because he's the only. My reasoning is that their self-esteem would be hurt by having an angry video game nerd video made about them.
Yeah.
So there's no
Then they pass away.
emotional recovery from that.
He's already been destroyed emotionally by the AVGN.
The AVGN has probably sat in private and thought, I'm more of a normie than a Green Dog myself.
We should have him on the show. Angry video game nerd, come on, insert credit.
Come on.
I think he doesn't. I think he doesn't do unscripted stuff.
Yeah. Our next match is Yume Taro from Gimmick versus Yoko Taro from The World.
Is that the main character from Gimmick?
Yeah.
Can we also pit Haruki Murakami versus Ryu Murakami while we're at it? Just because they happen to have part of a name that sounds the same.
Blessed.
Maybe as an exhibition match.
I've mentioned this on this very show before, but I just remember anytime someone would mention Haruki Murakami when I was in college, someone would go, I like Ryu Murakami better. It's like, oh, they're writing in completely different genres, just saying.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Clearly, they're brothers.
Okay, so it's the Gimmick guy, and who's the other one?
Yoko
Taro,
the guy.
The human man who is the near guy.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Well, he doesn't like showing his face in public.
I've seen it.
You know what? Yeah, well, yeah, I know. It's maybe not in public. He doesn't like showing his face in public, which I'm going to say is a little gauche. The mask thing's a little bit gauche. Can we actually? I'm breaking the silence.
I'm just.
I think it's tacky.
I'm just gonna say this is a slam dunk for Gimmick because Gimmick can pick up stars.
Well, he generates stars.
He can generate stars and also pick them up.
You can't pick anything up. No, he can't.
He can't pick it up.
No, he can jump on them, but only the stars that he has created.
Oh, sorry. I guess picking up is the wrong. But he throws them.
Yeah, he generates them above his head, and then he throws them. Yeah, and if he can bounce it off a wall, he can jump on them and ride them.
Yeah. So anyway, stars are way more powerful than a human being.
Yeah, the star would insta kill Yoko Taro.
What about Yoko Taro's ability to destroy Yume Taro emotionally?
I don't think he cares.
I'm gonna counter that with physical evidence. It's
it would also take a lot of time
right now. So I'm holding to the camera for the folks watching the stream. A Japanese Sunsoft newsletter, Super Sun Club issue 2.
The second one.
It opens with a Gimmick comic strip, and that guy cares.
Yeah.
About what people think about him.
He does care.
That's a valid thing.
Does he look like he plays video games though?
Right. Yeah, I don't think Yoko Taro can do it in person. I think he's got to have a whole video game narrative and force Gimmick to play it. It's just not going to work.
I think based on I know how many people do you know off the top of your head
3
who played that Nier Automata game and didn't finish it? Because I feel like, first of all, I'm going to play it someday, and I'm definitely going to play all of it. I'm going to play all of the Niers all the way through when I get when I get a big enough bag of weed, which I just don't know where to find it. I go outside, and I just can't find a single store that sells lots of weed anywhere. So it's
if only there were some billboards that could direct you to them.
I just know so many people who are like, I tried playing that Nier Automata. I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and put somebody on blast. It's been long enough. I'm breaking the silence. Stephen Totillo was told that Nier Automata was a cool, fun game to play, and he played it. And he's like, I got to the part where they show you the credits, and just seeing credits kind of bummed me out. I know, I understand I'm supposed to restart the game, but I just didn't want to do that mission again. And I'm like, oh.
I wonder what credit sequence he saw.
Sounds like he might actually not be able to find any place to buy weed. Not as a joke. But so the question is, which video game characters would play video games? I think it's only the ones who have been explicitly described as playing video games, like Ichiban from Like a Dragon has played Dragon Quest canonically. Yeah. I think every other video game character has never played video games.
I don't know. I think Sonic is a teen, and he's played video games like in comics and stuff. I think he plays video games.
Do you think he would play Nier Automata?
No, I think he only plays Sega games.
Yeah.
Also, he doesn't have the patience for anything.
No.
I think Outrun is a video game Sonic the Hedgehog would play.
Yeah.
I've seen cartoons of that. Gimmick wins.
Gimmick wins.
Yeah, why not? Who cares?
Yumitaro. Our next match is the Hunter from Monster Hunter versus the car from Spy Hunter.
Okay, so the Hunter from Monster Hunter is like 10 different classes with 15 different weapons and is completely, I don't know, like that's not a person.
And the car from Spy Hunter controls poorly, comes out of the back of a truck.
Yeah. Also, the car from Spy Hunter requires a driver, and we don't know what driver this is. So if the car's just sitting there, first of all, the Hunter's going to blast it. Second
of all, Capcom created the whole idea of beating a car up until it
That's
blows
true.
up.
And the whole premise of Monster Hunter is fighting things bigger than you. And so no matter the size of this car, I think it's a Monster Hunter that wins.
And the game series Horizon Zero Dawn is basically a Monster Hunter versus a giant car dinosaurs.
Yeah, fighting Truckosaurus.
The precedent exists if the main character of Horizon Zero Dawn, who I recognize from her beautiful smiling face and so many PlayStation fanboy Twitter avatars, if she can take down a giant dinosaur made out of car parts, the 3D printed car parts, I'm pretty sure that the collective wisdom of the Monster Hunter verse they can pool their resources and figure out how to take down a single inert driverless automobile.
Yeah.
That has guns on the front. That's it. It can put oil slicks out the back. What else you got?
I think a more intelligent opponent might start driving it, but I think the Monster Hunter is just going to take it apart.
Yeah,
I think what's going to happen is I think the Monster Hunter is going to get inside of it, but will not drive it.
I think those little cats are going to chop it up and serve it for food.
Yeah, those little cats, whatever those things are called.
Our last match is Black Lotus from Bushido Blade versus William from Neo.
Well, William from Neo can take like more than one hit, usually.
Yeah.
Remember when Bushido Blade was being hyped up on websites and in magazines as it's a samurai sword fighting game? That seemed so cool.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of was for the first game. It was I watched friends who didn't really play video games get caught up in that hype train and really get into Bushido Blade and get way better at it than I was ever going to get, because they got into the footsies game of spacing and then planning your sword strike, and then you only got one arm now, and can you still make it, and you found a way, etc. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good cool game.
I feel like they could revisit that. Well, I don't know that Square Enix could, but somebody could.
Well, I mean, Square Enix can make Harvestella, right? So they could probably make another Bushido Blade, but it would just be
I'm going to break the silence. I'm finally calling this, that we collectively complained about the last few years of Square Enix output, where they were basically doing Xbox 360 Part 2, where they were just putting out all these like B-tier RPGs.
I want to say I was never blasting them.
Oh, no.
But yeah.
When I said we, I meant the collective we, not us specifically, because I've been enjoying them. But I'm just going to say we're going to miss this era of Square Enix where they were just churning out B-tier RPGs, because pretty soon you look at that CEO and his desirousness of AI-generated content.
That's all gonna fizzle. Just
I know
like
it's
NFTs.
gonna fizzle, but because this stuff is gonna be like present for a while, we're gonna look back on the last few years as like a golden age of Square Enix. I think when they were putting out like from Final Fantasy 15 to 16, I think that's gonna be like a.
We're gonna get into this in a couple of weeks. Well, first of all, they've got a Dragon Quest III remake that is about to be announced, probably imminently, and that's gonna buy them a whole bunch of good faith from Japanese audiences. Dragon Quest XII was announced a couple years back, and it will be very soon, probably this September. We can look forward to it probably being revealed, the release date or whatever. There's always a chance. Final Fantasy 17 is a cool thing. They got a Final Fantasy 14 expansion coming out. I think Square Enix is going to be okay, despite the little stupid NFT and AI related press release hiccups.
They'll be all right.
But I mean, this is something we'll get into in a couple of weeks, but they released one of the best video games they've ever made last year, and it wasn't on any end of year lists that I saw. It's very strange. Just wasn't. It was exactly what a huge number of people complained about wanting these old Japanese video game companies to make, and then it seems like nobody played it. It's bizarre. So that's fun.
Okay.
What was the question?
It's Neo it's William from Neo versus Black Lotus from Bushido
Neo
Blade.
wins.
Neo wins, but only because he inhabits a less hyper-realistic world.
Yeah.
That's a boring way to win. Also, those Neo games are fun. And also Team Ninja made that, they made that Stranger of Paradise
If
game.
we really want to do an argument here, like...
Team Ninja should do a Bushido Blade.
Depending on which way we're tipping this, the Bushido Blade characters can one-hit kill other humans. So, like...
Neo's controls are faster and more responsive, though.
It's true. All right, it's fine.
Which takes us to our semifinals. We're going to start with Normie from Normie's Beach Baby-O-Rama versus Yumetaro from Gimmick.
Gimmick wins.
Yeah, Gimmick done.
Gimmick wins.
Gimmick
throwing stars.
I mean, I will say the one way to avoid his stars is to run away fast.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something sort of interesting there, but
that's just running. That's not winning.
About as interesting as Normie gets. So
I don't think Normie can do anything to Yumetaro.
Yeah, Normie should stick to Candy Crush.
Thanks.
Because he's a normie.
Exactly. I got it. Monhun versus William.
Monhun has way more weapons and projectiles, but it is a closer match, I think.
Yeah, that's a good one, actually.
That's actually a question for the ages, I think. Typical Monster Hunter versus the guy from Neo. Neo 1. The guy from Neo 1.
Yeah. I think of him as like the Gears of War tank of the Souls-like. Like he's a big muscle meaty boy.
Yeah.
So he can take some damage, but those monster hunters, that's what they're designed to take down, is a big muscle meaty boy.
Mm-hmm.
But can Monhun take down a Yumetaro?
They are hunters of monsters.
Yeah.
You know what monster hunters are? Monster hunters are much like Agent 47 from Hitman. This is actually the real matchup. It should be Monster Hunter versus Agent 47. You do a whole series about that. Just different environments, randomly selected environment.
And the question at the end is, who is the real monster?
Yeah. Which one's the monster? Which one's the hunter?
And the answer is the player.
The player's the monster. Monster Hunters, much like Agent 47, they're problem solvers, right?
Yeah.
They solve problems.
Violence,
it's a game about
problem solvers.
Yeah, I mean, they really do solve the problem with kill violence.
Yeah,
I would say
the old shoot and stab.
Delicious kill violence.
Right, but is that the Batman always wins argument though?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows?
All I know is Gimmick won this thing. I don't care.
Why not?
You think Gimmick beats Monster
His name
Hunter?
is Gimmick, and first of all, it's not whatever that other word you said is. But do I think he wins against Monster Hunter? I don't know, man. he can only get hit 4 times, like at max health.
And those stars don't instantly kill you, but are they real stars?
Yeah, they're not insta kill. In fact, some enemies take like 8 hits.
Oh wow!
And it's really difficult to aim your shot. And the ones that take 8 hits, like you just have to like ride on their head and just kind of pump them full of star lead. Yeah. So I actually think I might be wrong. Maybe Gimmick lost here.
I think we're in accordance. Monster Hunter is our winner. He moves on to the Champion of Champions, which currently includes Booker DeWitt, Sylvando, and Sonic the Hedgehog with a knife.
Sylvando's got those.
Yeah, we'll see. Does anyone have any recommendations for us?
I think I got some. Let me pull up the old list here.
Let's find out if you got some.
Oh yeah, okay, here's one. So I've been a fan of Indonesian 80s horror films for some time because they often have an interesting character because there tends to be mysticism in there. There's some kind of mystery to it almost always. And so I recently watched the movie Srigala, and I thought that was pretty good. So check out Srigala. It was definitely Friday the 13th inspired, but it takes it in kind of a different direction. And it's just got like all kinds of different acting in it, all kinds of environments that are in Indonesia and not elsewhere. And it's just a kind of a fun, weird time. It's like a Friday the 13th from another universe. So give that a try. I think that's my recommendation for this week. But one week in the future, I'm going to recommend a dog treat recipe. I just need to remember to write it down so that I can share it with everyone. But look forward to that in the future.
Everyone's going to have fun eating those.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anybody else got any more?
Oh, I mean, it's kind of hard to compete with an Indonesian horror movie that everyone in the audience, you're just banking on no one in the audience having ever heard of it. That's good. That's a good classic trick. That's the classic internet content.
Well, I'm trying to recommend things that people haven't heard of.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Give them something new.
It's occasionally though people need you to recommend things they have heard of 1,000 times,
and sometimes I do. And then they're like, I love that thing. So usually I try to slide one of those in there, but this week it just didn't.
I'm going to recommend something everybody has heard of. In fact, I'm going to just recommend thinking about the stuff that you've heard of a little bit more. Everything that exists can be a little bit better. You think you understand a plain white t-shirt? There's better ones probably. Find things to interrogate about objects you take for granted. For example, as a child, you grow up your whole life, and your parents are telling you, wear a coat. Is that coat warm enough? Coats are good. I've said this on this very podcast before. Coats are good. If you get a good coat, it's real good to have a good coat. You learn this when you get older. When you have a good coat and it's cold and you're wearing a good coat, there are all sorts of different, put your coat on. If you're in a wintry place, put your coat on and think, what could be better about this coat, right? Like, what are the problems with it? Until I purchased the coat that I own now, I didn't realize my previous coat was so heavy. Now I have a coat that is extremely light. It's extremely versatile. It's extremely warm. It's 100% waterproof. It's just a beautiful coat. It has tons of pockets. It has a little pocket up here for my phone to slide in under the zipper flap. It's got all the little things I could ever want from a coat. Little just common everyday things. There's better versions of them. It's just equip yourself with that. So there you go. That's the opposite of recommending an Indonesian horror movie. I tried my best.
You want a regular style recommendation? You ever watch that?
You don't have to.
No. I had one in my brain.
Save it.
Y'all ever watch that Columbo?
I've seen Columbo.
Check out Columbo.
I only watch Furuhata Ninzaburo. Okay. I'm just kidding. Have you seen Furuhata Ninzaburo, Brandon?
No, I haven't, but I would like to.
The Japanese Columbo, except he's a little more annoying. I can't believe you recommended Akina Nakamori's record Fushigi, and you haven't seen Furuhata Ninzaburo, which has Akina Nakamori in it.
Well, I should watch it. I have been interested in watching it, but with Columbo, there's so many episodes.
Not if you've seen them all. Then there's no more.
The structure is kind of interesting sometimes, and like check out the one that's got Donald Pleasance.
The structure is so interesting that people think it's normal. They think that that's a normal way for a mystery show to be.
Right.
It's not, though. That Columbo invented that.
Yeah.
And also check out the first episode of the second season, which is Etude in Black, which has uncredited direction from John Cassavetes.
Or the pilot episode, which has credited direction by Steven
Spielberg.
Yeah.
And you'll get in the first 30 minutes of that Etude in Black, you'll be like, wow, somebody really went for it with this. And then it makes sense that it was John Cassavetes who did some uncredited directing in there. But of course, it's also got some racism for.
Oh yeah,
just
it's all over all. Yeah,
it's the old times.
I think Furuhata Ninzaburo would actually annoy the average Japanese murderer a lot more than Columbo annoys the average Los Angeles murderer. And you'll know what I mean.
Yeah.
He's particularly annoying in a way that is just repugnant in his culture, in a way that Columbo's kind of a folksy American guy, who's like you can imagine a guy like him existing.
Columbo's more like your kid brother who just won't go away.
Yeah.
In his annoyance.
Whereas Furuhata seems like an actual sort of. He seems kind of deranged. He seems like a space alien at times, but nonetheless, deliciously pleasant stuff to watch.
I'll give it a look-see.
Frank, you got anything?
I bought that Final Fantasy VII remake on Steam Winter Sale. It's pretty cool. Tim was right about hard mode.
Yeah, dude.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, that's a whole video game there. Somebody should try the Rebirth, the second one's coming out next month, right? And it's I kind of hope that they just let me have the hard mode for my first playthrough. I think I would.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to rent a PS5 again, but.
All right, I'm gonna wrap this baby up. If you would like to help our show get along,
little doggies,
do what it's doing every week, what you can do to help us out is you could rate and review our show however you can. That usually means iTunes, but if you've got another platform you want to recommend us on, do that.
It's pronounced eTunis, actually. Okay, I'm sorry.
You could just tell a regular human person about the show. That would be nice. You could also support us.
That's what the kids these days call underrated.
Yeah.
What, our podcast?
Is telling people about stuff in person.
Yeah.
It's low-key underrated.
It's low-key underrated. You can also support us on patreon.com/insert credit to pay everyone involved on this show except for Tim.
Yeah, not me.
If you'd like to sponsor our show with an advertisement or personal message, you can do that by contacting us at show@insertcredit.com.
If you are a representative of the Coca-Cola Corporation, you can call me and offer $1 million.
You can also join
I'll drink a Coke Zero live on one of my streams.
You can join our community at forums.insertcredit.com or find videos of these episodes on youtube.com/insertcreditshow. This episode is edited by Esper Quinn with music by Kurt Feldman. I'm Alex Jaffe.
I'm Frank Cifaldi.
I'm Tim Rogers.
I'm Brandon Sheffield.
I'm Kurt Feldman.
And it's been long enough. I'm breaking the silence.
Can we get Kurt Feldman to just say, "And I'm Kurt Feldman," to play at the end of every episode?
Just this one. Brandon, can you reach out to Kurt?
Yeah.
Can you reach out to Kurt for this?
Yeah, I'll get him to do it.
Yes.